hot standing up. Am I okay with the mic? My name is Milewski, and I'm a parent of 2 children at Stafford Primary School. Are we okay to advance this first to the next slide? Yep, this is it. Yeah, this is perfect. Thank you. Today I'll be discussing an idea of forming school-level enrollment task forces at small schools in the Westland-Wilsonville district led by PTAs and school leadership. I'm proposing this idea for small primary schools such as Bolton, Stafford, Cedaroak, and when it opens in a year, Frog Pond, but also for other small district schools like Riverside High School. As we know, during the disruptions of the pandemic, many families had to make difficult decisions, and some families left public schools for private schools, homeschooling, or pod schooling. These task forces would be in part to reach out to these families who left public schools but are already living in the district. Other families are moving into our district and may not know other families in the district. Frequently, I see posts on the Westland Facebook community page where people are asking for information, where they're thinking about moving into the district and want to know about the schools. School-level enrollment task forces could help bridge this gap by connecting families already living in the area whose children are not enrolled in public schools, as well as new families with information about and exposure to our schools, including tours, conversations with existing parents, and school data. I myself was in this position just last year. My children have been in private schools for the past few years, but we moved to the Stafford Hamlet this past summer and decided to explore the local public school options. We found little about Stafford Primary School online, though most of the school reviews we found, which were quite sparse, were quite old, and tours were not being offered of Stafford Primary School at the time. Most of all, we wanted to talk to parents who were living in the area and whose children went to the school about what they were experiencing, but we didn't know any people in the area yet. Fortunately, I just happened to have a friend in Portland who happened to have a brother whose children went to Stafford Primary School, and she was able to connect me with them, and we were able to have a really helpful, long conversation about their experiences at Stafford School. And honestly, it was that conversation with current parents as we were trying to make this decision that really helped us make this leap to take our children out of their previous school and move them into Stafford Primary School. As a parent who has had children in a variety of kinds of schools in different places, I would argue that our district's small schools have so much to offer and could be very interesting to many families, including families whose children in the area, whose children currently go to private schools or are currently homeschooling. We just need to make sure that these families see and hear about what our schools offer. Can I have the next slide? Some ideas that the PTA-led school-level enrollment task forces could explore include holding open houses at individual schools. So perhaps a yearly open house that could allow members of the community, including families not currently using public schools, to see the school in person, which I think is so important, to get the feel of the school, to see what it's like, to see students and families there, and also have the opportunity then to perhaps talk with other parents and teachers. Another idea would be to organize fairs or community events at individual schools that are open to the community. So for instance, there could be a literacy fair to explore our new wonderful literacy curriculum. There could be language fairs or a CTE or IB fair for Riverside High School. Another thing that I would love to see such a task force help enact would be providing tours of individual schools upon request. These could be led by school leadership, PTA members, or even by volunteers. Next, another idea would be to put together a list of parents who would be happy to talk to people moving into the area or families in the area considering moving their children to local public schools. So essentially what I had to find kind of in a roundabout way through a friend's brother, compiling a list of parents that could be provided, and this could be kept current by the PTA and provided to anyone who contacted the school with interest in registering their children there. Could I have the next slide? A few more ideas, and again, this is just a start of what this enrollment task force could be, connecting with local realtors to provide updated information about local schools and the list of parents happy to talk to new families. Encouraging parents to write about their experiences on online school review sites. So I remember I was looking for these school reviews and not coming up with much. And if we did this, there could be much more kind of up-to-date, relevant reviews of our small schools. Another idea, working to advertise the language immersion programs of small schools such as Bolton. I myself only kind of found out about Bolton's Chinese immersion school quite recently, and also kind of advertising about Frog Pond's Chinese immersion program when it opens, so that more parents, including parents of preschool-aged children, are aware of this option in our district. Another idea, working to enable that local parents of homeschooling children are familiar with our district's after-school options, which they can participate in. So inviting them to come to our after-school programs and thus kind of familiarizing them with our schools, which may at some point lead them to consider enrolling their children in our schools as well. If it was possible, the district or school PTAs could also support these efforts by interviewing or polling local families in the district who are homeschooling or sending children to private schools to better understand the reasons community members have not chosen local public school options. So to conclude, as a parent coming back to public education after having my children in private schools for several years, including most recently the highest ranked private school in Oregon, I believe strongly that Stafford Primary, as well as our other small schools in this district, measure up to private school education as equal or better in many ways. Academically, I believe these schools can compete very well with private schools in Oregon. One of my children who struggled academically at her previous schools has thrived academically at Stafford Primary and gained a new love for reading, something she certainly did not have before coming to Stafford. The teachers my children have had at Stafford Primary are some of the best primary school teachers my children have ever had at any school. The one missing piece is to let others in our community whose children may be attending private schools or homeschooling see our wonderful schools. I've already presented this idea of school-level enrollment task forces to the PTA co-presidents of Stafford Primary. Both co-presidents have expressed that they are excited about the idea and interested in exploring it further. They have told me that they will be presenting the idea to the Stafford principal the week after next. And we would love to work with PTA leadership at other small schools as well to launch this idea in all small schools in the district that might have interest in this. Thank you for your consideration.